Chin Su is celebrating his first love's birthday at a restaurant, tipped all the employees. I stood among the employees and bowed in unison with everyone. Happy birthday, Miss Song, wishing you both a long and lasting love. Chin Su held my gaze for 2 extra seconds, saying nothing. After work, I walked down the street wrapped in my padded coat. I remember the day I found out I was pregnant. My friend advised me, don't rush to abort it. How do you know Chin Su won't want it? Anyone with eyes can see that in the years you've been with him, he's practically spoiled you rotten. Just tell him straight up. Who knows, he might propose to you on the spot. These past few years of being carried away by pride made me, for a fleeting moment, truly believe that he and I could have a future together. I let out a silent sigh. I took out my phone and made a hospital appointment. I've decided not to keep this child. Until the two of them finished their meal, Chin Su didn't even notice my presence. Maybe it's also because I was blocked by the piano in front of me. I work part-time as a piano performer at this restaurant, even though Chin Su gives me $300,000 every month. After all, my canary contract with him expires in just 1 month. From now on, I'll have to find a job on my own, getting out early to get used to society, so you won't be overwhelmed when the time comes. Just before they left, the manager came over and gave me a shove. Mr. Chin's girlfriend complimented our restaurant on the birthday preparations we made for her. Mr. Chin is very pleased too. He said he'll give each employee a $5,000 tip. Go over there quickly, join everyone in saying thank you and offer some blessings. I have no way to avoid it. Stand up and join the staff. Chin Su casually looked up, then her gaze slowly settled on me. I lowered my head and bowed along with everyone else. Happy birthday, Miss Song. Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness and everlasting love. Song Xiangwan rested her chin on her hand, beaming with a radiant smile. Thank you all, but you've got it wrong. We're not a couple. After saying that, she instinctively glanced at Chin Su. What's wrong? What are you looking at? Chin Su casually averted his gaze. It's nothing. Chin Su booked the entire venue for Song Xiangwan for the whole night, so after they leave, we can clock out and go home too. Pianists have special performance attire. I came out of the changing room, having put on my own down jacket. His hand instinctively reached into his pocket. I touched a piece of paper and froze for a moment. Only when I reached the bus stop did I take out the paper, which had grown warm from being clutched in my hand, to read it. This pregnancy test slip was issued a week ago. It says, I'm 2 months pregnant. 3. Hospital corridor. After recovering from the shock and confusion of finding out I was pregnant, my first reaction was to schedule an abortion. My friend stopped me. What are you doing? The agreement between Chin Su and me clearly states that any accidental pregnancy must be terminated. She angrily poked me on the forehead. You're the only one in the whole world still strictly following that stupid canary agreement, aren't you? Anyone with eyes can see that Chin Su absolutely dotes on you. Which caged bird gets treated like this? She counted on her fingers as she gave examples. Remember when you went to City Z for that concert? There was an earthquake there, and he couldn't reach you. He went crazy with worry, dropped everything, and came looking for you. High-speed trains and flights were all suspended at that time, yet he drove for 7 hours straight to find you. Have you forgotten that? My friend gave 3 examples in a row. I listened quietly, my fingers tracing over the pregnancy test result. She took a deep breath and finally concluded, at least ask Chin Su for his stance first. Anyway, the way I see it, he won't let you get rid of it. Who knows, if he's in a good mood, he might even propose to you. Because my friend interrupted me, the hospital had already closed for the day. Plus, I've been a bit busy this week. I almost forgot about this entirely. My friend told me to ask Chin Su for his stance. Song Qingwan's appearance was already his answer. I took out my phone and scheduled an abortion for a week later. The bus has arrived at the stop. The car's body reflected my expression, calm, without a ripple. It turns out that letting go of some things is this simple. I got on the bus and found a seat. Suddenly, it feels like liking Chin Su was a lifetime ago. For, in my junior year, several classmates and I started an internship at the Chin group. Chin Su, however, showed special care only to me, but he seemed to be keeping his distance from me. I suffer every day, torn between fear of loss and hope of gain. I accidentally overheard all the truth. I'm going to deliver the documents to Chin Su. Before knocking on his office door, I heard my name mentioned inside. The hand paused in midair. Ah Su, you're treating that little girl Ningyu as a stand-in for Xiangwan. Gotta say, even though the face isn't quite right, there's definitely something about the vibe that hits the mark, Chin Su said. Not really, his brother continued. Yeah, can't compare to Xiangwan, how aloof and superior she is. You fell out with the Qin family for her, and after all the trouble convincing them to accept her, she goes and chases some dream, choosing to study abroad over staying with you, Qin Su. Remain silent, his friend urged him again, but if you still think Ningyu is worth it, just keep her around. I can't stand seeing you mope around like this anymore, and besides, it's pretty obvious that young lady has a thing for you too. I listened to the entire conversation in a daze. Reason tells me I should stay away from Qin Su from now on, but the pain of sudden withdrawal surged over me like waves, one after another, nearly drowning me. So when Qin Su slid the contract for keeping me across the table, I stayed silent and didn't move right away. Qin Su took my refusal as a given and nodded politely. I'm sorry, that was out of line. I seemed to just snap back to reality. He took the pen, signed the contract, and smiled slightly. No, I'm just shocked by the amount you gave me. I brainwashed myself. I'm only with Qin Su for the money. I don't like him at all. 5. Unfortunately, the first brainwashing attempt failed. I moved into Qin Su's place, but we sleep in separate bedrooms. We barely have any intimate contact. At most, he would hold my hand when the streets were crowded. While having dinner with me at a restaurant, Qin Su ran into a former business partner of his. Oh, President Qin, what a coincidence. The man glanced at me, his expression shifting slightly. After a few pleasantries, the conversation turned to me, and this is, Qin Su's deep affection for Song Xiangwan was well known within their circle. Almost everyone took it for granted that he would wait for Song Xiangwan forever. The man is convinced that I have nothing to do with Qin Su. The looks directed at me grew increasingly brazen. Qin Su filled a bowl of soup and placed it beside my hand. Without even looking up, he said, my girlfriend. Not only that man, but even I was taken aback. That stagnant pull in my heart, well, not entirely stagnant, seems to be coming back to life even after leaving the restaurant. His words still had my thoughts all over the place. I didn't notice the step and twisted my ankle. I didn't dare to trouble him to help me up, so I said, Mr. Qin, go get the car, I'll wait for you right here. Qin Su didn't say a word and simply picked me up. Noticing my discomfort, he lowered his eyes and asked me, will this feel strange? I wrapped my arms around his neck, shook my head, and didn't dare to look at him. When we got home, Qin Su carried me all the way to the sofa. As he stood up, I mustered the courage to kiss him on the cheek. Thank you, boyfriend. A terribly presumptuous thing to say, but Qin Su didn't blame me for overstepping it. Feels like he and I are actually in a relationship. After my summer internship ended, I went back to school to continue my classes. He would personally pick me up and take me out to have fun whenever he had no classes. Watching the sunrise by the sea, seeing that I was cold, Qin Su came up from behind and wrapped his arms around me. Feeling better, I'm still a bit cold, hold me tighter. I put on a serious act. He didn't call me out on my lie, just gave a faint, barely noticeable smile. He pulled me even closer. Qin Su indulged me, but even he had his limits. The bottom line is Song Xiangwan. On New Year's Eve, I accidentally broke the hand-painted teacup that Song Xiangwan had personally crafted and given to him. Qin Su glanced at the fragments on the floor. The tone was fairly calm. I recall making it clear that nothing in this display case should be touched. This entire display case is filled with Song Xiangwan's belongings. I explained to him in a fluster. I saw the teacup about to fall, so I tried to straighten it. I'm sorry. Can I get you a new one to make it up to you? I can fire this too. Besides, I've studied painting, so I can also work from the original piece. His unfinished words caught in a faint, soft laugh. He looked at me as if I were an idiot. Why would you think your stuff can compare to hers? Ningyu, he reminded me, you seem to have forgotten that this isn't an equal romantic relationship. I opened my mouth, but found myself unable to make a sound. 6. The day ended on a very awkward note. Qin Su found the sponsorship contract. He flipped open his silver lighter right in front of me and lit it. We're closing the deal. You may leave now. For the months you've been with me, I'll still have my assistant pay you monthly according to the salary stated in the contract. His wording was fairly pleasant. The allowance for keeping a mistress is called a salary. I packed 2 suitcases completely full. I've made this place my home and bought a lot of Things for it. While tidying up, Chinsu simply sat on the living room sofa. Every time I come out to grab something and pass by him, I feel like I'm being flayed alive all over again. It's impossible to get a taxi in the villa area. 10:30 p.m. I trudged along awkwardly in my bulky padded coat, dragging my suitcase behind me. Can't even spare the mind to feel sad, because I also have to watch out for the ice underfoot to avoid slipping. 7. My feelings about that night. It's hard for me to sum it up with just one word like sad. It's more like all the negative emotions are mixed together, piling up in the heart, then surging upward to assault the nerves in the brain. It torments me so deeply, both mentally and physically, that I wish I were dead. Chinsu acted as if nothing had happened. On countless sleepless nights, I would see him in his brother's social media posts. He hangs out with friends at the club, and occasionally they go to Hong Kong together to bet on horse races, attended 2 charity auctions, winning a diamond bracelet and a vintage pocket watch from the last century. It took me 3 months to barely piece myself back together and feel normal again. Library, classroom, dormitory. I've returned to my old routine of home, work, and home. 8. The next time I ran into Chinsu was at a bar. My roommates' group gathering was short one person at the last minute, so they dragged me in to fill the spot. Chinsu showed up just as the guy across from me was asking if he could add me on WeChat. Seeing him, I instinctively froze for a moment. Chinsu's gaze did not linger, skipping me. They went straight into the VIP box on the second floor. My roommate's ex-boyfriend found out she was at a mixer and came over drunk to cause trouble. It's only been a few days since we broke up, and you're already that desperate. I'll teach you to go looking for other men. He slammed the steel pipe onto the coffee table with a bang. The glass surface shattered instantly, sending shards flying everywhere. I raised my hand to block it, but a pair of hands shielded me faster than I could. Chinsu protected my head, and the back of his hand was cut by broken glass. My roommate screamed and got up to run away. Her ex-boyfriend went berserk, chasing after her while swinging a steel pipe. Running towards us, Chinsu pulled me into his arms and kicked him hard in the chest. The man fell to the ground as soon as the sound was heard. Chinsu shot him a quick glance, as if looking at something filthy. He instructed his assistant, dump him at the police station entrance. Then he pushed me into the back seat of the car. The moment the partition rose, his kiss came down forcefully. I couldn't push him away, and managed to gasp out between breaths, "We've terminated the contract, so it's all over now." Chinsu held me tightly in his arms. "The backup contract was burned. You're out here socializing while the contract is still in effect." His hand pressed harder against my waist. "Ningyu, is this how you show your love for me? In 3 months, have you ever reached out to me on your own?" I pressed my lips together and said nothing. Chinsu kissed her again. 9. Back at the villa again. The moment I stepped inside, Chinsu pushed me against the entryway and kissed me. Didn't even have time to turn on the lights. After a long moment, he pulled back slightly, his gaze still oppressive. "Did you give him your WeChat?" It took me a moment to realize he was talking about the guy sitting across from me at the bar that night. I shook my head. Chinsu stared at me for 2 seconds, then picked me up and carried me to the bedroom. My mind is in a haze, and I feel like I still have feelings for him, but it's a bit different from before. Before I could think it through, he pulled me into a new whirlpool. Because it's my first time, Chinsu takes good care of me. It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be. Later, it became a bit too much to bear. Chinsu pinned me down, looking down at me. "Have you thought about me these past 3 months?" I said haltingly. "Every day." Chinsu was satisfied and slowed down. He leaned in and kissed the tip of my nose. "Good boy." When I woke up the next day, Chinsu was holding me affectionately from behind. I thought I would be overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, but I just feel inexplicably empty, a calm, dull emptiness. 10. I moved back into the villa again. I only brought a very small suitcase this time. Chinsu took it and weighed it in his hand. "It's this light." I nodded. "Just bring some spare clothes and daily necessities." He gave a non-committal response. "Just buy whatever you need." Chinsu gently squeezed my fingertips and asked in a low voice, "Is 300,000 enough?" "That's enough. I still pay the dormitory fees every year. Most of my stuff is also in the dorm, because you never know when Chinsu might kick me out again. Keep the dorm room so you won't end up on the streets." The shelf holding Song Xiaowan's belongings. I never moved again. Once, Chinsu was holding an online meeting in his study. Let me go to that locker and grab the other laptop placed underneath. I stood there awkwardly, at a loss. Chinsu looked up. What's wrong? I hesitated before speaking. You'd better get it yourself. I can't move that cabinet. He was stunned for a moment. He took off his headphones, stood up, and led me by the hand to the cabinet. From now on, you can help yourself to anything in this cabinet. There's nothing special about what's inside. He was so indifferent, as if he had already let go of Song Xiangwan. I nodded obediently, but still hasn't touched it. The bus arrived at the stop, and the announcement jolted me back to reality. Just got off the car, a biting cold wind funneled down my collar. My mind feels clearer too. It suddenly clicked for me. 3 years ago, when I chose to get back together with Chin Su, it was the inertia from having stopped liking him that pushed me to draw closer to him. But the liking gradually faded. I can't be as happy around him as I used to be. All that remains is the familiar routine. 11. Return to the villa. All the lights in the room are off. I'm not all that surprised. After all, today is Song Xiangwan's birthday, so it's only natural that Chin Su spent the whole day with her. After taking a shower, I finally felt my body warm up again. I snuggled into the soft blanket and closed my eyes, slept like a log. The next morning, I woke up and checked my phone. A local news push notification stood out prominently in the center of the screen. A Genie's painter Song Xiangwan's boyfriend rumored to be city's real estate tycoon Chin Su. The accompanying photo shows the two of them standing outside Song Xiangwan's apartment building at night. I blinked, clearing my head. Get up and wash up. Stepping out of the room, I saw Chin Su sitting in the dining area. The nanny brought up the last bowl of porridge and went back to her own room. Come here. Chin Su put down the tablet in his hand. I walked over and willingly sat in his lap. Don't you have to go to work today? I'll come back first to have breakfast with you. He patted the back of my head. I yawned. The neighborhood where Song Xiangwan lives, as shown in the news, is quite far from here. Isn't Chin Su tired from running back and forth like this? Just then, the phone beside him rang. He glanced at it, pressed the speaker button, and tossed the phone back onto the table. It was his assistant. Well, you see, the boss is like this. Are you with Miss Song now? Since you haven't given the word, the PR department isn't sure whether to take down the trending topic. Chin Su only then saw the news. He glanced at me first, then said to the other side, pull out. After hanging up the phone, he lifted me up a little higher in his arms. What are you thinking about? I shook my head out of sheer boredom, still feeling a bit drowsy. Not sure if it's caused by pregnancy, Chin Su suddenly said. The person you saw me with at the restaurant last night was just celebrating a regular friend's birthday. I just nodded again, saying nothing. Song Xiangwan already made it clear last night. They're not together yet. Chin Su pinched my chin and shook it gently. Are you upset? I immediately tensed up, smiled at him and said, no, not at all. It's just a bit boring. A key rule in the etiquette of a kept woman is not to be overly jealous, because I am not qualified. It has been 3 years since I returned to Chin Su's side, so I started treating him purely as my sugar daddy, treading carefully. Besides, I'm leaving in a month anyway. Getting jealous would probably just piss him off. There's a good chance he won't give me the last month's 300,000, so you went and got a part-time job. After nearly half a minute, he spoke again. I'm meeting up with some friends tonight. Want to come with me, so you won't get bored at home? I have no objection. 12. But before I went, I didn't know that Song Xiangwan would also be there. I overheard this news when I arrived at the door of the private box. Brother Su, be honest with me. Did you bring Ningyu here just to piss off Xiangwan? Chin Su didn't show much emotion. She's just bored at home alone. It has nothing to do with anyone else. TSK. Su, you've really been something these past 2 years. Not only have you not gotten tired of her, you've only grown more devoted. Don't tell me you'd actually marry her if she got pregnant one day. Chin Su tapped the ash into the ashtray, his tone unchanged. Only a fool would marry someone who brings nothing to the table. The man snorted. That's not what you said before when you were willing to give up the Qin family inheritance to marry Xiangwan. Another person chimed in. How can they be the same? Ningyu isn't even worthy of being compared to Xiangwan. I stood still, watching my own shadow. I've come to terms with some things. Chin Su probably likes me, but this fondness is too faint. After all, having kept a canary for 3 years, it's only natural to develop some feelings for it. 13. Song Xiangwan and her best friend were the last to arrive. Many people instinctively looked at Chin Su, hoping to see a different reaction from him. Song Xiangwan let out a chuckle. Stop it. This is so awkward. Okay, I met Chin Su a few days ago, and we're just friends now. I lowered my head and focused intently on eating. A complimentary fine dining restaurant. Every meal counts now. Halfway through, Song Xiangwan called out to me. I was just about to say, you look really familiar, and I finally remembered, you're the pianist from the restaurant that night, aren't you? She gave me a mischievous smile. When did Chin-soo become so stingy? He's so rich, yet he still lets his girlfriend go out to work. Someone was drunk and let out a snort. What girlfriend? Just a little pet I keep around. Chin-soo lifted his eyes and looked at him. The atmosphere suddenly turned icy. He snapped awake instantly. I had too much to drink and accidentally said something wrong. Everyone's expressions varied, but I was the only one who didn't react. Simply picking up another meatball, he hadn't said anything wrong either. Seeing that I never looked up, with an air of complete indifference, Chin-soo's tone was flat and indifferent. Are you completely focused on food? I turned my head and looked at him blankly. What's wrong? Can't I eat this? Maybe the way I was puffing my cheeks with the meatball in my mouth made me look so silly that it cracked him up. The chill in Chin-soo's eyes faded slightly. He raised his hand and wiped the non-existent crumbs from the corner of my mouth, a faint arch of the eyebrow. Forget it. Why would I bother arguing with you? Chin-soo ordered another serving of meatballs and made sure they were placed in front of me. Song Xiangwan on the other side, poking at the food on the plate with chopsticks, as if having no appetite. A moment later, she turned her wrist. In a moment when no one was looking, I grabbed a peanut, put it in his mouth expressionlessly. 14. The dinner party was drawing to a close. Chin-soo barely spoke after that. Basically, they were all watching me eat. I have nothing to be embarrassed about. I've been having a huge appetite lately. I wonder if it's related to being pregnant again. Seeing me put down my chopsticks, Chin-soo glanced at his watch, ruffling my hair again. It's still early. Is there anywhere you'd like to go? I'll go with you. As soon as the words were spoken, the sound of chopsticks dropping came from not far away. Song Xiangwan rested her elbows on the table. Seems to be having difficulty breathing. With a pained expression on the face, Song Xiangwan's best friend quickly realized she was having an allergic reaction. Xiangwan is allergic to peanuts. Who ordered this peanut dish? I was a bit surprised and answered after a slight pause. It's me. She narrowed her eyes and said, half jokingly, what a coincidence. Are you only capable of eating peanuts? You just had to order something Xiangwan is allergic to. Chin-soo draped his coat over me. Make eye contact with the woman. She didn't know she was allergic. Seeing Chin-soo step forward, that best friend fell silent. Looking disgruntled, she took Song Xiangwan's arm, trying to help her up, but instead, she slipped and fell to the ground. In the process, it knocked over the solid wood coat rack next to it. I didn't have time to dodge, and it hit me right on the back. He lunged forward, his stomach slamming into the edge of the table. The pain so sharp he could barely stay on his feet. Subconsciously, I wanted to support Chin-soo beside me, but his hand grasped nothing but air. He had somehow made his way in front of Song Xiangwan and leaned in to embrace her. Song Xiangwan pushed him. Don't, I can go by myself. It's better if we keep our distance to avoid suspicion. Chin-soo furrowed his brows. What's all the fuss about? With that, he directly picked her up. Just as he was about to step out of the private room, he suddenly remembered my presence and turned back. I quietly held his gaze, aside from looking a bit pale. There's nothing unusual, he said. I'll take her to the hospital first. Let the driver take you home. I'll come back later to keep you company. I said okay. After he left, I also got up to say goodbye. Take a taxi to the hospital. It's not that the abortion needs to be done right away. My stomach just keeps hurting. This child may not need me to manually remove it. 15. Not that coincidental. I went to the same hospital as Chin-soo and the others. After reviewing the ultrasound report, the doctor confirmed that the baby was gone. After the dilation and curettage procedure, the doctor advised me to rest well during this period. I thanked him and left. At the first floor, I ran into Chin-soo accompanying Song Xiangwan as she was getting in for a drip around the corner. Chin-soo stood up and walked toward me. Why are you at the hospital? He reached out and gently rubbed the side of my face again. Your complexion doesn't look too good either. What's wrong? I feel weak all over, and my voice is barely audible. I just got hit by a coat rack in the restaurant. It hurts a bit, so I came to get it checked out. Chin-soo's voice turned deep and heavy. Why didn't you say that just now? It didn't hurt that much just now. How did the test results turn out? Ningyu, let me see your wound. I shook my head. It's nothing serious. The doctor said I just need to rest for a few days and I'll be fine. I shifted my gaze into the infusion room and said, it looks like she needs a new 4 bag. Go Find a nurse, quick, I'm heading back now. I left when Chin-Soo turned away. There are 29 days left until the contract expires. Chin-Soo clearly hasn't gotten over Song Xiangwan. He should allow me to leave 1 month early. Chin-Soo is not the type to be stingy over 300,000, so he probably won't deduct my last month's pay. 16. Chin-Soo came back after I fell asleep. When I woke up the next day, an arm was wrapped around my waist. I stirred and woke him up. He pulled me closer into his arms again. I turned my head. Are you awake? The man hummed in response, his lips brushing against the back of my neck. When I sensed the kiss moving downward, I flinched away. I'm on my period. Chin-Soo, it's been moved up. He didn't say anything, just moved his hand to my lower belly and gently rubbed it for me. I got up and finished washing up a bit late, but Chin-Soo was still taking his time with breakfast. Even though it was already past his usual time to head to the office, I'll stay with you today. Not going to the office. My eyes widened in surprise. Really? Chin-Soo's voice was gentle and calm as he held me in his arms and kissed the corner of my mouth. Any place you'd like to visit? I shook my head. No, I'm at home. I was just about to discuss something important with you. Chin-Soo's hand, which was playing with my hair, paused for a moment, look up and gaze at me. I've hardly ever used the formal you when talking to him. Last time it was 3 years ago, the day I signed the contract with him. 17. The living room was silent, but it is not the stillness of peace. Instead, it feels like air molecules are irregularly clumping together, forming an invisible, stagnant blockage, suffocating, hard to breathe. After I said I wanted to terminate the agreement and leave with 1 month's notice, Chin-Soo just stared at the termination agreement on the coffee table, saying nothing. After a long pause, he spoke calmly. Song Xiangwan and I have been over for a long time. We're just friends now, and I don't have any feelings for her. If you don't like me seeing her, I'll avoid meeting up with her too often from now on. He even mentioned the locker where Song Xiangwan's belongings were kept. You can throw away everything inside as well. Why would the sugar daddy explain all this to the kept bird? I don't understand what he means, so I tentatively asked, are you saying that I'm not allowed to terminate the contract early? Waiting another month is fine too. I thought you were eager to be with Miss Song. Sorry, I misunderstood. Chin-Soo looked me straight in the eyes. After a long silence, Ning-Yu, what do you think we are to each other? I answered very quickly, employment relationship. Chin-Soo nodded knowingly. He stood up, picked up the contract, and flipped through it casually. You don't love your employer, yet you're willing to do everything intimate with him. He gave a silent, faint sneer and tossed the contract back onto the coffee table. A faint comment. You're really willing to go all out. 18. Chin-Soo has been gone for a day, didn't come back until evening. Behind him stood Song Xiangwan, wearing an overcoat in the same color scheme as his. The woman waved at me while changing into her slippers. Hey, I'm going to be a bother for a while. I nodded slowly, my reaction delayed. All right, I'll go ask the housekeeper to prepare a couple more dishes. Chin-Soo followed me into the kitchen. He instructed the aunt, don't do anything related to peanuts recently. The auntie looked at the freshly bought peanuts on the table with a troubled expression. Xiaoyu said she was craving peanut pudding. Chin-Soo dropped to throw it away and walked out of the kitchen. The auntie hesitated. I shook my head at her. It's okay, auntie, just throw it away. Song Xiangwan dragged Chin-Soo to show her every corner of the villa. The two of them were going back and forth in a lively candide, their easy rapport making me feel like a third wheel. I quietly went back to my room, leaving them alone together. A little while later, the auntie came to my door with a cup of coffee. Xiaoyu, the master is in the study. He wants you to bring the coffee in to him. She could have just had the auntie bring it in directly. Clearly, you have something to say to me. I took it and knocked on the study door. Come in. I placed the coffee beside him. Chin-Soo was replying to an email without even glancing at me. I plan to have Song Xiangwan recuperate here for a month. After all, she had an allergic reaction because she ate the peanuts you ordered, and she hasn't fully recovered yet. The sound of keyboard tapping paused for 2 seconds. Chin-Soo seemed to be pondering, but when he spoke, he found the address ironic, and his tone shifted slightly. Sponsor, it's only right to compensate her on your behalf. This was the first time Chin-Soo had mentioned that term. Draw a clearer line between him and me. There's no point in arguing anymore about whether Song Xiangwan's allergy has anything to do with me. He favored Song Xiangwan and intended to spoil her. The facts don't matter anyway. I nodded. Okay, then I'll have the nanny make her some nourishing soups in the coming days. After nearly half a minute of silence, Chin-Soo closed the laptop and pushed it aside, then he grabbed me by the waist and lifted me onto the desk. He braced his hands on either side of my legs, studying me intently. Even if I brought my ex-girlfriend back, you wouldn't be upset. Ning-yu, Chin-Soo raised his hands, cupping my face and gently stroking it. Though it seemed like tenderness, there was a chill in every move. You do make a qualified lover. I pressed my lips together, feeling unsettled by this unfamiliar Chin-Soo. As he leaned in, I instinctively pressed my hand against his shoulder. What are you doing? Do what lovers do. My whole body tensed up as I whispered, I told you this morning, I'm on my period. No. He moved closer and brushed his nose against mine. It was just a kiss. What's the problem? A second before they touched, Song Xiangwan's voice from outside the study stopped Chin-Soo. Asu, I want to go check out the garden. Will you stay with me? I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. Chin-Soo left, and I was still sitting at the table, trying to collect myself even though I had mentally prepared myself well in advance. But the thought of Chin-Soo getting all cozy with Song Xiangwan and then coming back to be intimate with me, my mental purity kicked in, and I still found it utterly repulsive. 19. Song Xiangwan settled here permanently. She seems to be getting a head start on adjusting to life as the lady of the house. Stand at the corner on the second floor and call the nanny. Ma'am, why is this painting hanging here? Don't you think it looks so cheap that it clashes with all the other pieces? Besides, Asu doesn't like this style either. Take it off quickly. Auntie glanced at me curled up on the sofa. This painting was hung by Xiaoyu. The gentleman has given his permission, Song Xiangwan said. It's fine, take it down. Asu said I'm a professional interior designer, so I can do whatever I want with his house. Then he turned to me with an apologetic smile and said, if I find a suitable spot, I'll hang it up for you. Okay, thank you. I stared out the window, calculating the time. Less than 20 days left. The thought of getting another 300,000 at the end of the contract made Song Xiangwan's provocations a little more bearable. She really enjoys reminiscing with Chin-Soo about the sweet moments from when they were dating. Remember that year when you fell out with your family for me? We were holed up in my tiny rented room, and you planned to work 3 jobs a day just to save up and buy me a diamond ring. Chin-Soo responded faintly and briefly. Song Xiangwan, oblivious to everything, began recalling the next memory. I've grown used to being treated like I'm invisible. To give them enough time alone together. Apart from my part-time job at the restaurant, I spend most of my time looking for an apartment. I got off work very early that day. I just don't want to go home so early and face Chin-Soo and the others, so I went to another restaurant and did a 3-hour piano gig. I didn't realize my phone had died until I got off work. Got home around 11. I had just pushed the door open when I ran straight into Chin-Soo, who was holding his car keys and about to head out. He grabbed me by the arm. Where have you been? Why is your phone turned off? Afraid I might contact you. I was stunned by his sudden outburst of anger. I'm working a part-time job. My phone died because the battery ran out. I rarely saw Chin-Soo lose his composure. The last time was when I was at a concert in City Z and an earthquake hit. After driving for 7 hours, his eyes were bloodshot with exhaustion. I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize my phone had been stolen. I'm sorry for making you worry. Chin-Soo didn't blame me. Instead, he pulled me into his arms. He sighed softly. I'm going out of my mind. Same as always. After I finished explaining, he hugged me again. A low, hoarse voice came from above my head. I thought you had left. My head was forced to lean sideways against his chest, making my voice sound muffled when I spoke. No way. I still have 10 days left on my contract, so I won't leave early. Chin-Soo's breath noticeably paused for a beat. He loosened his grip and let me go. You're still leaving. Speaking will only make him angrier. I looked down at my toes, silently holding my ground. I broke off talks with him again. Chin-Soo brushed past me, stormed out the door, and slammed it shut with a thunderous bang. 20. Chin-Soo has become moody and unpredictable. He barely talks to me at home, but he won't allow me to miss his calls or come home too late. Song Xiangwan also noticed the change in him. Every time I tried to start a conversation and was ignored by Chin-Soo, my smile became more and more forced. A week before I left, she suddenly called out to me as I was heading out the door. Hey, Ningyu, can you give me back my bracelet now? You've had it for way too long. Even if you were just admiring it, it's time to return it. I looked at her, completely baffled. What bracelet? I never took anything of yours. Chin-Soo walked over from the kitchen island, holding a cup of coffee. Song Xiangwan was getting a bit anxious. Chin-Soo, tell her to give me back the bracelet now. She explained that on the day of the party, when I was knocked over by the coat rack, Her bag, which was hanging on it, also fell right next to me. The bracelet must have fallen out, and then I picked it up, because no one else has touched her bag since then. Song Xiaowan's smile faded. That was the engagement gift Asu gave me back then. He designed it himself, one of a kind. I treasure it deeply, so please return it to me as soon as possible. I've kept quiet all this time, waiting for you to return it on your own. If you keep insisting, I'll call the police. I shook my head. I really haven't seen your bracelet, Song. Xiaowan looked at Qin for help. The man set the coffee down on the side table, his tone casual and offhand. Then call the police. 21. As Song Xiaowan went back to her room to call the police, Qin casually walked up to me, being falsely accused. Doesn't it feel suffocating? I jerked my head up, frowning as I stared at him. He said nonchalantly, you saw that, without my protection. Anyone could bully you as they please. Ning Yu, you've been too sheltered these past 3 years, naively thinking that leaving me wouldn't change a thing. You've forgotten that your carefree days were only possible because I spoiled you unconditionally. Qin held my wrist and pulled me closer. Ning Yu, be good and stay by my side. I can give you everything you desire. Song Xiaowan, I'll have someone send her away immediately too. He lowered his head slightly, staring at me without blinking. It's been over between us for a long time. You're all I have, you. This might be the first time Qin has ever humbled himself to someone like this, but I don't think that's affection. Not long ago, he was still telling his friends that he would never marry me. His uncharacteristic behavior is nothing but possessiveness at play. I pulled my hand away from his. The police can help me solve the problem just the same. The police arrived very quickly after hearing the whole story. Ask me. Miss Song suspects that you took the bracelet and immediately left to sell it after they departed. Could you please explain why you also left immediately after they did that day, and where did you go? My hand, hanging at my side, curled slightly after a long pause. With no way to avoid it, she said, I went to the hospital too, because I thought I might have had a miscarriage and needed to get checked. Almost simultaneously, behind me, a glass cup shattered against the floor, the sound of glass splintering echoing. 22. The lost item is of extraordinary value. After the routine questioning, the police asked Song Xiaowan to accompany them to the station to file a report. Qin had already locked himself in his study for the entire afternoon. In the evening, Auntie finished cooking dinner. Xiaoyu, call the teacher for dinner. I pushed open the study door and coughed twice, choked by the thick smoke. Qin, hearing the sound, stubbed out the cigarette between his fingers. The voice sounds very hoarse and dry. Sorry. I made you choke. He opened the window, standing under the bluesy sunset. The silhouette appears ethereal and forlorn. I spoke quietly. You don't have to do this. Even if you had left Song Xiaowan behind that day and taken me to the hospital in time, the outcome wouldn't have changed. I already scheduled an abortion. Since neither of us wants the child, he did not look back. You've made up your mind that I don't want him, because I heard it. Qin, I overheard what you said to your friend that day. The aunt couldn't wait any longer and walked over, confused. Time to eat, sir, and there's Taro too. What are you all standing around here for? 23. Qin didn't eat anything, spent the whole night in the study. I woke up, picked up my phone, and checked the date. Only 5 more days until I'm free. Woke up to find that Song Xiaowan's belongings had all been moved out. Qin came out of the bathroom, with a few bloodshot streaks in his eyes. I sent her back. I just said oh and sat down to eat. Qin pulled out a chair and sat down next to me. How is your body recovering after the miscarriage? What did the doctor say? I took a sip of porridge and shook my head. It's all over now. Qin said he would handle the matter of Song Xiaowan slandering me, and he gave me an explanation. The company's new project is a villa with built-in decoration. This order was originally intended for Song Xiaowan for an ordinary interior design studio. This is an extremely important major project, but last night, Qin called off the collaboration. Since no contract was signed, there is no need to pay any penalty for breach of contract. I have nothing to say. Silently lowered his head to drink the porridge. Song Xiaowan deliberately targeted me, so getting her contract cancelled at the last minute was just what she deserved. But Qin move made everything seem somewhat absurd. He is clearly an accomplice of Song Xiaowan. I simply can't find the words to express my gratitude. 24. The contract between Qin and me expires on February 15, February 14th happens to be Valentine's Day. In just 5 days, he's taking me abroad for Valentine's Day. Chin Su's shirt collar was slightly loose, not as crisp as usual. There was also an indescribable weariness in him, less aloof than before, with a touch of approachability. Ning you just never noticed. Every Valentine's Day, I work overtime in advance just to free up this day to spend with you. He leaned back against the kitchen island. That contract has been nothing but a worthless piece of paper to me for a long time now. I treated you as my lover, but you saw me as nothing more than a sugar daddy. After saying this, his face turned slightly pale, and he gave a faint curl of his lips, as if he found the whole thing utterly ridiculous. 5 days, Chin Sharon still chose the more distant Bordeaux. The round trip will take a whole day. We met a Chinese photographer at St. Andrew's Cathedral. You two have really great looks. May I take a photo of you too? I'll give you the picture. Chin Su held my hand, with a charcoal gray suit jacket draped over his other arm. The shutter clicked, the photo was handed to us. The photographer, looking quite pleased with his work, smiled and said, "Wishing you two a long and lasting love." Not long ago, I said the same thing to Chin Su and another woman. He clearly thought of the same thing. The hand receiving the photo paused slightly. "Thank you." In the photo, Chin Su had a bit more warmth than his usual indifferent demeanor. He also had friends in Bordeaux. When we had dinner together, Chin Su introduced me. "This is my girlfriend." The man across from me gave a knowing look. "Oh, I get it. In this circle, which young master doesn't have a few girlfriends tagging along for amusement?" Chin Su tossed a cherry tomato at his face with a blank expression. "What do you know? She's my serious girlfriend. We plan to get married in the future." I lowered my eyes and continued cutting the lamb chop, as if I hadn't heard what he said. "The wine at this restaurant is rich and mellow. I couldn't help but have a few extra drinks." His friend left midway due to something coming up. I rested my chin on my hand, blinked, and asked Chin Su, "What's the point of saying that now? I don't like you anymore. Hearing you say that doesn't make me happy at all." He tucked the stray hair behind my ear and asked the drunkard in a low voice, "Why don't you like me anymore?" "Because you said our love isn't equal," I said slowly. "Actually, you were already quite tactful back then. You didn't outright say I was your kept person, that you looked down on me, that you never took me seriously. But I'm still so sad. I've been sad for so long." The man listened to me quietly. "I haven't slept well in the 3 months since we broke up, and I couldn't focus in class either. You never post on Moments, so I had to look for traces of you in your friends' posts. I see you're doing just fine without me. You went out with your friends and even bought a diamond bracelet at an auction." Thinking back on it, I still feel a bit down, but this time, it has nothing to do with Chin Su. This is for my former self, who was in so much pain. Back then, I thought Song Xiaowan had returned to the country, and you took that photo to give to her. I'm a bit tired from sitting, so I just leaned sideways and rested my head on the desk. I thought you two got back together, so I hid under the covers and cried for a long time. At this point, I couldn't help but crack a faint smile. My roommate thought I was crying because the advisor scolded me. Chin Su's voice carried a slight tremor. "I didn't give it to anyone else, nor did I have feelings for anyone else. Ning Yu, the bracelet is for you, and I am yours too." My mind is a complete fog. I couldn't quite grasp what he meant, so I just spoke on instinct. "But I don't want it anymore." A flicker stirred in the man's eyes. The emotion in his gaze shattered in an instant. 26 on February 14th. Let's go to the last scenic spot. We took the cable car for part of the way up. Unfortunately, the cable car broke down just as it was about to reach the top. The cable car stopped moving, leaving us stranded in midair. Though it wasn't too high off the ground, a fall would likely leave us crippled. The staff remained fairly calm at first. They told us to be patient. "The equipment is being repaired." But before long, our cable car gave an inexplicable jolt. The staff member stood at the finish line, suddenly turning pale with shock. I couldn't understand the French he was speaking. Just asked Chin Su, "What is he talking about?" But my gut tells me it's not a good thing. The clamp gripping the cable car on the cable line is loose, and our car is tilting to the left as it derails from the track. The cable car is about to fall. He's going to get the steel cable and slide it over from the zip line. We'll strap it on later, and once we climb out of the cable car, we'll be safe. Chin Su looked calm. "It shouldn't be a big problem." The tilt is becoming increasingly pronounced. The staff slid the rope over hesitated as if to speak, then added a few more words. "What's wrong?" I asked. Chin-Soo remained expressionless. "He said the cable car got stuck on a single cable, but it's safe for now, and told us to get out quickly. I have a nagging feeling that something is off." But Chin-Soo didn't give me time to think. He opened the door and gestured for me to go out first. He said he's heavier, so if he sits on the other side, the cable car won't tilt too much. I slowly crawled out of the cable car and tied the rope around my waist. The other end of the rope is tied to the cableway. Just as I was about to turn around and tell Chin-Soo that he could come out as well, the cable car plummeted right before my eyes. Bang! Shattered into pieces upon hitting the ground. I was suspended in midair, staring blankly at the ground below. It took a long time before I finally realized Chin-Soo lied to me again. 27. He was in surgery for 4 hours undergoing emergency treatment. The assistant sighed. The staff member just told me that he informed President Chin the cable car won't hold much longer. There's only enough time for one person to escape, and they have to move fast. The other person sat in the far left corner, covering their head with both hands to minimize injury in case of a fall. But Mr. Chin was worried you wouldn't have enough time to escape, so he deliberately stayed put in the right corner, just to buy you more time. I sat on the bench outside the operating room. It felt like I had lost all sensation. All I could hear was my assistant's comforting words. "Mr. Chin has proven with his life how much he loves you, Ning-Yu. If you still have a conscience, you shouldn't bring up leaving him again." I didn't react much until the surgical light went out. Chin-Soo was wheeled out. I turned my head slowly to look at the doctor. The chances of getting back up are very slim. However, if the patient's rehabilitation goes well, it's not entirely out of the question. 28. When Chin-Soo woke up, I was sitting by the hospital bed. You're awake. How are you feeling now? Let me call the doctor for you," I asked. At a loss, he shook his head slightly. He didn't ask how his leg, which was in a cast, was doing. Instead, he raised his hand to gently caress my cheek, his tone soft and calm. "While I was in a coma, did they bully you? Did someone tell you not to leave me, out of consideration for the fact that I got hurt saving you?" The assistant beside him touched his nose and lowered his head. I sniffled. "No." Chin-Soo neither said he believed it nor said he didn't. He asked again, "What's the date today?" "Number 17. Chin-Soo called his assistant over and said, "Book a flight back home for Ning-Yu tomorrow. Transfer another 300,000 into her account." His pale lips parted slightly as he said to me, "Ning-Yu, the contract has expired. We're settled. You can leave now." I stood rooted to the spot, my hands clenching and unclenching. I didn't know what to say, but I felt I couldn't just walk away like this. Chin-Soo seemed to know what I was thinking. A faint smile. "You don't need to feel guilty. You weren't supposed to get into trouble in the first place. I was the one who brought you to Bordeaux, so isn't it only right that I protect you? You don't owe me anything, Ning-Yu." I was choked up for a long time, my toes shifting slightly. "Then I wish you a speedy recovery. I'm leaving." Chin-Soo seemed utterly exhausted and closed his eyes again. 29. I finally quit my job as a piano performer. There is about 10 million on the card. I opened a flower shop near the suburbs. Business is good, and hiring someone hasn't made things too tiring. The 3rd year since leaving Chin-Soo, I'm in love again. He's the owner of the shooting club just down the road. I rarely think of Chin-Soo anymore, so when we met again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. He was tall and straight, and there was nothing noticeably wrong with the way he walked. My eyes widened. "Mr. Chin, has your leg recovered?" He hummed in acknowledgement, a faint smile flickering in his eyes. "Got a minute? Help me pick out a bouquet." I smiled and said okay. The last trace of guilt lingering from 3 years ago vanished completely in this moment. My eyes swept over every type of flower. "May I ask who the recipient of the flowers is to you? After all, different flowers convey different meanings." He was cut off by another voice as he began to speak. "My boyfriend strolled in, holding a cat. Dummy. Let's see what mommy is busy with." I scratched the kitten under its chin. "You two go wait for me over there for a moment. Once I finish wrapping this bouquet, we'll go check out the wedding venue." My boyfriend nodded and asked, "Need a hand?" "No need. It's not like I'm moving anything heavy." My boyfriend walked over to the counter holding the cat. I asked Chin-Soo again who the recipient of the flowers was. He lowered his eyes, concealing all emotions. Only after I pressed him again did he finally answer, "Beloved." His voice dropped. "My love, it turns out he's already Married, I nodded knowingly and helped him arrange a bouquet of champagne roses. Shinsu paid and took it. Thank you, see you again. We barely exchanged pleasantries, treating each other like strangers, overly polite. Shinsu walked a short distance. The child standing at the entrance of the flower shop tugged at his mother's hand. Mom, look, that guy is so weird. His right leg is a metal pipe. I froze. Look in the direction he's pointing. No one in sight. My boyfriend poked his head out and called for me. What are you looking at, you? It's nothing. I snapped back to reality. The vast, empty road was dotted with only a few scattered withered leaves. Another winter has arrived. The end.